into the future, what do you see? I really need to know now, is there a place for me? If we're gonna survive, the dream must stay alive.
Authorities are appealing for calm throughout the evacuation process.
The Tribe, A New World by A.J. Penn. Preface. Amber walked graciously down the aisle. Bray, spellbound, focused on her. She looked beautiful, the crisp white wedding dress reflecting the sun that shone through the stained glass windows of the tiny church. For a moment, Bray almost forgot that there were other people gathered for the wedding. So intent had he been on his bride-to-be. Sitting on either side of the aisles that Amber passed were faces Bray knew all too well. His grandparents, his uncles and aunts, family members, many from other parts of the world who had come to witness this special day. But most important of all, Bray exchanged a look with his parents, his father nodding in understanding and support. They looked so well, healthy again. Bray's mother dabbed a tissue to one eye, emotional and proud of the day their elder son was going to marry, setting off on a new chapter of his life. "Nervous?" Martin whispered in Bray's ear. Bray turned to his younger brother, looking immaculate in a black tuxedo. "Martin, what are you doing here?" "I'm your best man, remember?" "No," Bray responded. "Oh yes, brother." Martin smiled coldly, fixing Bray's tie, adjusting it to perfection, a trace of venom in the tone of his voice. Stunned as he was to see Martin, Bray's attention once more fell on his bride, as Martin indicated Amber approaching the altar ever closer. With each step she took, Bray's heart almost faltered. He was overcome by it all, his love for Amber, the monumental day of the wedding, and the fact that so many dearly loved ones, Martin included, were somehow there to experience it with him. Behind Amber, her two bridesmaids followed, holding the long trail of the wedding gown in their hands, their faces beaming bright smiles of their own. Patsy and Chloe were thrilled to be involved in the special day of Amber and Bray's betrothal. And then she was beside him. Amber looked up to Bray as he lifted the thin veil off her face so she could see into the eyes of her husband-to-be. The delight on her expression was clear for all to see. It was her smile which had always captivated Bray. With the one longing look she gave him, her eyes locked on his own, her expression one of contentment, peace, togetherness. If he could freeze a moment in time forever, this would be it. Her gaze, her smile, spoke volumes about the love she felt for him, reassuring him that they would always be together. No matter what happened in this God-forsaken world, everything would always be all right. "This is a day that will be long remembered," Tai-San spoke up loudly to the assembly. Bray stared absently at Tai-San, amazed also to see her there, presiding over the ceremony. But there she was, like his brother Martin, his parents, the dearly loved friends and family who were all there around him. She was very much real. Wasn't she? Or had Bray's memory betrayed him? Was he losing his mind? He certainly began to doubt his senses. He thought so many of the people had perished. Yes, died. Was he now in heaven? "It's okay," Amber whispered softly, clutching Bray's hand in reassurance. Feeling a little more at peace, Bray focused again on Amber, putting his faith in her, like he had always done before. "We are gathered here today for the union of Amber and Bray," Tysan continued. "Two spirits, drawn together, destined to be united for all eternity." Bray cast another glance at Tysan. Beneath her smile, he noticed her eyes seemed to be cold, vacant. "Amber, do you take Bray to be your husband?" Tysan asked. "I do," Amber said, gazing once more longingly at Bray. "And Bray, do you take Amber to be your loving wife?" Amber waited for Bray's answer. The words she was obviously so desperate to hear, yearning in her heart, from the very depths of her soul. The doubt about what was really happening resurfaced in Bray's mind. He had spotted Dal sitting in the audience, Amber's best friend from the days before the adults were wiped off the face of the earth. Dal, too, had met an untimely end. What was he doing at the wedding? "Are you all right, brother?" Martin asked quietly, so the assembled crowd could not hear. "Do you take Amber to be your wife?" Tysan repeated, once more, in a monotone, her voice almost robotic. Certainly not the spiritual and emotional Tysan that Bray had known from his past. "Answer her, Bray!" Martin shouted out, seizing Bray by the arm. Squirming to get out of Martin's iron grasp, Bray was horrified by the realization that Martin was no longer wearing the immaculate tuxedo as before, but had turned into the visage of Zoot, complete with the leather jacket, goggles resting on his black cap, his hair long and scruffy, his eyes burning in manic intensity. "Do you or don't you take Amber to be your lawful and loving wife?" Tysan asked again, an element of impatience and threat in the tone. "Let me go!" Bray shrieked out, desperate to escape from the hold of his younger yet powerful brother. Zoot clung tightly, his firm grasp restricting Bray, struggling to get away. "You're not leaving. You're staying put, brother," Zoot yelled contemptuously. "Well," Tysan probed, trying to contain her anger. "Do it!" Zoot shouted. Were they going to forcibly put a wedding ring on Bray's finger? Unable to free himself, Bray was powerless, looking on at Amber, Tysan, the assembled loved ones who gazed impassively from the aisles, ignoring his pleas for help, assistance. Amber reached into her wedding gown, and rather than presenting a ring, she now held a long medical syringe in her hand. "Oh, I do. I do. I do. I do," Amber repeated, carefully moving the syringe into position above Bray's arm. "Till death do us part." "Power and chaos!" Zoot roared, urging Amber on, a look of complete madness in his darting eyes, fierce with energy. "Amber, no!" Bray shouted out, but it was no use. Amber suddenly plunged the needle into Bray's outstretched arm, Bray yelling out in intense pain as the syringe penetrated deep into his vein.